In this video, I'm going to show you how you can spy on your competition, both if you're a gamer or a gaming company. So we're going to use AI and automation to scrape TikTok. Then we're going to dump everything into one document that's going to summarize everything about what people are saying about our game, our events, and our tactics. So here's a quick demo of this. I'm doing this with Pokémon TCG Pocket. I've been playing a lot of it lately. So here's how it works. Basically, we enter a username of a TikTok user. Here I just put 2 in this demo. I hit run now. I have a TikTok scraper through Appify running, and it will go ahead and it's updating this table here, which I have in Airtable, all the videos that have been posted from a particular date. Make automation that runs. What it does is takes all the subtitles from the videos, adds it to a Google Doc. ChatGPT then summarizes all the information, creates one daily digest doc for me. There it goes. Everything that I want to pay attention to, such as news, tactics, and any other miscellaneous items that ChatGPT decided did not fall in the other 2 categories. Say you're a Counter-Strike or League of Legends eSports team, you can grab the latest highlights about other teams and what people are saying about your team. Or maybe you're a game publisher like, BSW, Bethesda, Zenimax, and you want to check out what content creators are saying about your game or your competitor's game. So this basically does all the work for you automatically because content creators are creating content very fast. They're just pumping out really great stuff. And so this crawls the web and the internet basically does your work for you. When I was working at Zenimax and BGS, reading a daily digest like this would have been a lot easier than shifting through and watching all those TikTok videos and YouTube videos through a feed instead. I'm going to now walk you through step by step how I made this. All right. And from scratch, and we'll start from the very beginning. If you have any ideas or problems you want solved with AI or automation, go ahead. You can schedule a call with me. I'll go ahead and put a link to my calendar in the description below. So first of all, I'm going to create a new base, start from scratch. There you go. All right. And first we're going to make a users table. And this is where we're going to add the users. So username as a primary field is fine. I'm going to just call this username just to make it more clear. Let's go ahead and just delete these default fields. The next thing I'm going to make is channel in case in the future I want to use a different channel. This can be a single select option. This time around is TikTok, but we could definitely use YouTube Shorts, Instagram, Reels, and anything else you want. All right. I have a run now checkbox. I like to press that when I want to run it, just like you saw in the demo. And then I'm going to grab a few more things just to make it a little bit easier. Once I have a lot of data in here, I'm going to want to very quickly try to find the users, right? In the example, I only had 3, but let's try to have a few more things here. So profile pic as an attachment, so I can easily identify users. Nickname, which is how you identify the TikTok username. Let's make a signature. Let's add a field for the bio link, and this is a URL. I'm going to have a little field for a run ID. It's going to just help me later down the line when I start hooking this up to Appify. And I always like to have a record ID. I just always make it by default. This way I can keep track of the ID of this exact record whenever they start getting filled out and when I start my automation. That's just by adding a formula and using the record ID function built into Make. I'm also going to do a date field here. This is actually a modified date. Yes. Last modified time, and I'm going to just do last modified. I'll keep the time. Let's see here. Yeah, I'll keep the time for now. It's helpful, especially while we're testing. I'm going to have a table for videos. Okay. So let's go ahead and so that's our user data. Now we're also going to make a table for all the videos and collect all the videos, but I'm not going to want to clutter up my user table, right? I want to keep that data separate. So I'm actually going to add a new linked record to create my table, create a new table, and this is going to be videos, and it's going to actually be videos, and I will allow linking to multiple records here because one user will have many records, many videos. So that's a users table. Let's go to the videos table where we're going to actually collect our videos. And what I'm going to do here is we already have a user ID, which goes back to the user table, but I'm going to want a video ID to be my actual key instead of a video name. Videos can be named anything they want. So I'm going to create an auto number field here. And that's going to be the video ID. Actually, I take that back. This actually should be a video ID that we're going to populate. So it will be the key, actually, but not an auto-generated key. I'm going to remove this name field, and I'll show you how that comes into play later once we start scraping the TikTok data. Now I'm going to have a add to daily checkbox. So if I have a user I want selected, I'm also going to pick the videos that I actually want. So let's go to checkbox, add to daily, and that's going to serve a little function, just add a little functionality to our video. That's going to add some functionality to our Airtable. All right, let's do a cover so we can easily identify the video. Let's do media, which will give us the actual video. So let's save that. All right, now this is where we get smart. We're going to put the caption, not captain, long text. Let's do video summary. And that's, and that's going to be long text as well. And then the URL for the actual video so that we can actually go look at it directly in TikTok. And field type URL. Let's go to, let's do some individual statistics. So number of likes, let's make this a number. Don't need decimal places. Sure, I like using line separator. So I'm going to actually duplicate this 6 times because I have a bunch of fields here. Okay, now SRT. This is very important here. We definitely want to collect the subtitle data. This is what ChatGPT is going to use to actually summarize the information. All right, video created. So I also want a video created time. And this is going to be a date. And yes, I want to include the time. Last modified. This can just use the default Airtable. And then my usual record ID that I like to have, just so I can tie it back all the time when I need to. So record ID, create field. All right. So my Airtable is almost set up. So there is one more thing we want to do, and it's back in this users table. What we actually want to do is for the videos, we need a way to determine whether or not for our automation to determine when was the last time we actually updated all these videos for this particular user. So the way we're going to do that is use a rollup, and this rollup is going to be called last video created, just to keep it simple. And we're going to just have this look at the video table, the video created time, and then the formula is going to actually be max values. And as you can see, it was actually like a default thing. Airtable already knows that typically this is the one you want to use. This is the one I use almost all the time for these rollups anyway. Max value. So basically what it's going to do is in the users table, it's going to look, let's create it first. Let's look at all the videos for this particular user and determine what the last video created date was. All right. And simple enough. And let me just make sure it includes the time. Formatting, include time. Yep. Okay. And then I'm going to do one more thing here, and it's going to be oldest post date. So this is important because not only do you need to determine when was the last time you ran it, but if this is the first time you run it, you want to make sure you tell the automation not to go all the way back in time. So oldest post date, I'm actually going to create this as a formula, and you can just enter this here. But basically, I'm just entering this one formula that I created before. So I entered this formula in, I just copy pasted it from my demo. But basically what it's doing is look to see if there is a date already in the last video created rollup that we just made. If we already have a video, use that as the date to determine how far back I should look, right? If there's no date, then use this hard-coded date that we entered here. Now, this is just to make sure that when I run the automation, it's not going to go past this date and just download too much and then blow all my credits and blow all my operations. All right. No, and we're going to create that field and it's ready. So that's the Airtable database part. That's probably the part that requires a lot of pre-planning, but hopefully you were able to follow along with me and I made it super clear. If you're looking to add AI or automation like this to your gaming company, you can always book a call with me. I'll add a direct link to my calendar below. All right. So now we're going to set up the automation portion of this. This is where actually, honestly, I have the most fun. First, we're in Make here. Let's go ahead and create a new folder. I'm going to do just demo 2, Pokémon TCG Pocket, daily summary. I'd like to keep all my stuff organized. So, all right, we have 0 scenarios here. So let's create a new scenario. And the first thing we're going to do is call this Airtable to Appify start a run. All right, and that's what we want to do first. All right, and so the first thing I'm going to want to do is create a quick webhook. So let's go to Airtable. Let's go to watch responses. And I'm going to want to do this one to create a webhook to my Airtable database. I'm going to name it a new one, demo 2, just to make sure I have these organized later on. Pokémon TCG Pocket dailies. Okay. Now it's created this URL for me. I'm going to copy that. Okay. Now we are going to go back to Airtable very quickly. All right. And I'm going to show you what I like to do is have this workflow, and you'll see in a moment, this is going to be all users here. No thanks. Okay. I'm going to duplicate this and I'm going to call this run TikTok. All right. So basically what's going to happen is I want a separate view. And when I click this checkbox, these records are going to show up in this run TikTok table. And then the automation will kick off for those records. Now, if I have an error or something and there's still records sitting here, I know those are the ones that didn't get processed. Well, that's why I like doing it this way, just to keep track of error handling. So first things first, we're going to make sure we set a good filter here, condition, and this one is TikTok. I mean, later down the line, we're going to have, you can always expand this. But I'm going to have it as TikTok, and run now is checked. And now when I check this, check these records. See, right now, there's no records there, but if I make the channel TikTok, which is the second condition, they all show up in the Run TikTok. Back to the Automations tab. Now, the trigger for this, like we said, is going to be when a record enters the view, and that view is going to come from the users table and the Run TikTok view. So whenever a record comes into that view, we just said based on if we selected the TikTok channel and the Run Now, that's when this automation will trigger. Let's go ahead and enter Andy Reinhold username. Just as a test for this, let's just have Run Now. So that record's in there. And so when we do our automation and I say, give me a record, choose a record that fits this criteria. Here we go. We see that record available. And now we can start testing with this thing. Let's go ahead and update a record here. Next, update record. And what I'd like to do is go ahead and select the users table, use the record ID. Use the Airtable record ID for this. That's the record we're going to update. And the Run Now field, we're just going to leave it unchecked now. So once this automation runs, it's going to uncheck the record so it runs from the view. All right, and then I'm going to set a field update, and it's going to update the Run Now field back to be unselected. That way that particular record just ends up leaving the field because it doesn't need a run anymore. And then here's the real meat of this automation here. So we're going to select Run a Script. And I'm going to copy and paste the script I had before here. But you can always copy it. Pause the video here so you can copy it here. Basically, what I'm telling Airtable to do is when this automation runs, go ahead and connect to this webhook in make and send these parameters, right? So first of all, we need to assign these variables. So we get rid of all these squiggly lines. So record ID is the one that needs to be filled out, and pay attention to case record ID. As you can see, it removed, and the value of that record ID is going to be the Airtable record ID that we are sending over. And the webhook here is what we need to replace. So let's jump back into make. And this webhook that we just created, we're going to copy it. We're going to paste it right here and there, right in the middle. And then this is going to be good to go. So let's test it. So this webhook is running. Oh, I need to hit OK here first. So let's actually make sure our make and Airtable are connected. So watch responses. The webhook is ready. Let's run this module. I can press run once or run this module. And, all right, it's running. Let's go ahead and press test. Let's do finish editing. Yep, test in progress. Okay, now, there it goes. Make has received something, and it's received this record ID ending in FVC. Well, let's go back and make sure. Let's go back to our data. I'll do this later. And this record ID is right here. That's why I like to have the record ID all over the place. FVC. So it definitely collected this record. We sent it over to Make. And that's the first step. Now Make and Airtable are connected, which is great. All right, now that we have our Airtable and Make hooked up together, let's go ahead and actually get the data from that record. So while in this module, we had to set up the webhook, in this module, when we set it up, we're going to have to add a new connection. So let's go. I like to do OAuth. It automatically connects through my accounts. So let's just name this this is the demo, right? So demos 02 Pokemon TCG. I forgot exactly what I named it. TCG Tactics or Dailies, right? That's why I named it. Save, and then it will try to authenticate. So here I'm going to add in the base. This one is the demo 2, grant access. All right, and now the connection is there. All right, and now it's asking us for the base. It's going to be the demo 2 base, which we created in Airtable. The actual table, we are in the users table, and the record ID should be this record ID that was captured from this webhook. So record ID, and we hit OK. And now we can actually even run this step by step and see how things are going. So I'm going to actually hit run once. I'm going to go to here. I'm going to test the action. It should go ahead and send that record. And there it goes. Something has come in. This FVC record has come through. And let's see. For that record, what has come through was that bundle 1 and the Andy Reinhold Run Now True TikTok channel for record FVC has come through. All right, and as you can see, we'll go back to the data, and there it is. That's the record that came through. All right, so let's move on to the next part. The next thing we want to do is actually set up Appify, which is really neat. So I like using Appify for my scrapers. If you're not familiar with Appify, it's essentially a little bit of a marketplace where developers can set up their own scrapers and put them up for use. Sometimes they'll charge for use, sometimes they won't. And even if they do charge, it's been pretty cheap. The scraper I'm using is this TikTok scraper by Clockworks. It works pretty well. When you sign up for an Appify account, you do get $5 of free credit. I haven't even used $1 of it yet. All the runs I've done and tested with, I've only used a quarter now, which is pretty cool. And I like using these instead of making my own scrapers. And a lot of it is because when you do make a scraper, you have to, if you want to keep using it over and over again, over time, you have to maintain it. And a lot of times, especially if some of these developers are charging money, you can probably expect them to maintain the scraper. So if anything goes wrong, they would probably do the work to get it back up, and I can focus on other things. That's why I like about these. Okay, and before we head on over back to Make, we're going to grab an API token. So go to your settings, go to API integrations, hit add a new token, and here I'm going to go ahead and add one. Demo to Pokemon TCG dailies. I'm going to hit create new token, and this third one is my new one, so I'm going to copy it. Okay. All right, so now back in Make, we're going to add an Appify module, run an actor. Okay. And we're going to, for the sake of demo purposes, add a new connection, Pokemon TCG dailies. And we're going to paste that API key. And it's connecting, and there we go. We're connected. Now, the actor is going to be the TikTok profile scraper that we grabbed before. Run synchronously, I think we should do no. And then the JSON, which we talked about, we're going to grab this one. And my copy paste carried over a few things. So let me explain what's happening here. So we're going to grab the oldest post date from the oldest post date we got from Airtable. And let me actually show that here. So oldest post date, and the profile we're going to grab from this record as well from the username. I have a limit of 10 videos right now just for testing purposes, but of course you can up the limit or lower the limit whenever you need to. And that should really be it. These are just selected from this second module here. And everything else should be all set to go. Let's go ahead and run this. So if I just go ahead and run this module, it's going to ask for oldest post date, which is going to be here. And my username is going to be here. Oh, it is going to error out because I don't have a real account. Okay, let's do the whole entire run with an actual user. So this person is someone I've been following for some good tips. Godsley, interesting name there. Okay, so the run now is there. So let's actually run this entire flow from start to finish. So I'm gonna do, let's go here. Let's go to automations. I'm gonna go ahead and turn this one on. Okay. And I'm gonna say run once and go back here, go back to my data and hit run now. So we should see something happening here. Okay, so now the automation has said, okay, when the record enters a view, and that happens when we hit that check mark, and it entered into this view here very quickly, then uncheck it, and then also run this script. Now, what we should see in make is the record got passed over. Now let's see what that record was. This Godsley username was passed through, channel TikTok, and then Appify got the payload right there, this JSON payload that we entered, right? And we asked for this request, and then it got this output right here. So we didn't tell it to do anything with this output yet, but this is quite a bit of indication that our application worked so far. So let's actually go and look at our runs here. I see there it goes. It's actually still running. Oh, there it goes. It actually finished. And here it goes. Here's this person's account and all the videos that they are actually posting. And our run has succeeded. Now, what has happened here, we didn't really tell it to do too much with it, so it stopped here. But so far, so good, right? All right, let's move on to the next part, which is now actually updating the data we got back to Airtable here. So now that we got all the data back from Appify, at this step, we're going to go back to Airtable and update Airtable for that record. So I'm going to do update a record. Okay. And we're going to use the same connection we used. Okay. And it's asking me to update my connection permissions. Get reading and updating are a different set of permissions. So let's go ahead and grant permission there. Okay. There we go. All right, so the base is, of course, the one we have been working on, demo 2. In tables, we're just working in the users table right now. Okay, a record ID is going to be the record that we've been working with. I like to grab, let's see, yeah, let's just grab the record ID from the record here. So I like to collapse these things. So module 2, let's grab the record ID. Now the let's see here. Username, we don't need to update. We don't want to replace what's there already. The channel, we don't want to replace too. Run now, we want to keep it empty because we had an automation Airtable to make it empty. Profile pic, let's all leave that alone. And then, let's see here. Run ID. Okay. We're going to want to grab the run ID here, default database ID. Now, this is the default database ID. So here's what we're going to do. All right, so we're going to grab the dataset ID, and we're going to populate our Airtable with that ID, and we're going to place it here in the run ID. That's what this is doing. Now, what's going to happen is we're going to do our next automation, which will actually populate the data in Airtable with the actual videos, because right now we just grab the user data and not the actual video data. All right, now that we updated the oldest post date to 12:08, something a little bit more reasonable for testing purposes, let's add the channel for TikTok and hit run now. Now the run TikTok line view now has that person, and there goes the Airtable automation. Let's check the make automation, and it is probably running. Let's see here. 5:06. It looks like it's running. So let's go to, there it goes. In Apify, the update is the crawler's running right now. 22 seconds. It's nice that it's live. I don't have to click into it. We'll give that a sec. There we go. Crawled a bunch of pages, and we only wanted 2 because that's what we asked for. There we go. Scraped 1 of 2 profiles. And if we go back to, let's actually look at our Airtable. Let's look at this execution here. As you can see, it asked for record BSG, which included the Godsley username, and it came back with this we sent that payload over, and it came back with this data, and it should have come back with the run ID. Let's see. BSG. That's not the same, right? Oh, it might be. Oh, run ID. Okay, there it is. Ending in SZT. So we go here. The run ID of all users table has been updated. Right there. SZT. All right. So that first part is working just fine. So let's go ahead and do the second part, which is now that we are grabbing the user information, let's grab the videos from that user. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new scenario here. And for this part, I'm going to use the actor run in Apify, the thing that actually runs here. I can watch for it, and when something actually starts running here, I can actually kick off an automation. So the way I'm going to do that is new scenario. Okay. So let's actually call this Apify to Airtable. What are we doing here? Actually scraping the data, right? Scrape data. Yep. That's what I want. Okay. Now, Apify. Now we're going to watch actor runs, and that's what I was describing here. So we're going to make a new webhook, and we're going to call this demo 2 Pokemon TCG dailies, right? That's going to be the name. Connection, and my actor is going to be TikTok profiles. Oops, sorry. Let's also make sure we consistently use the connection we had before. The actor is going to be TikTok's profile scraper. Hit OK. Now that we have the webhook set up, the nice thing about Apify is that there's a nice little integration with Apify and Make where they actually do set up the webhook for you. So we're just going to verify it really quickly. BMP8 is where it ends. I'm going to go back to my TikTok scraper, and you can see right here, this HTTP request destination with the URL BMP8 is actually right here. It's already enabled. We're just going to click that. We're going to make sure that the URL BMP8 is there. The payload template is the same. Everything looks okay. Run succeeded, run failed, run timed out, run aborted. All looks good to me. I might rename it though. Let's see, unnamed. We're going to call it demo 2 Pokemon TCG dailies again. Okay, so my demo and integration updated successfully. So let's test to make sure this is okay. We're going to hit run once. I already clicked it, actually. We're going to go back to Airtable. let's go ahead and hit the Run Now checkbox. The Run Now checkbox is going to disappear, indicating that our Airtable automation has worked. So let's give it a sec. There it goes. So that means there we go. Our script is running at the moment. And it says we have run successfully. So now we go back to make. We go back to Apify. The scraper has started here. And so if we go to make, we should get in a moment an indication that this run is starting. Oh, there he goes. Succeeded. And so the run 516 is now 517. Has succeeded. Well, let's just go back and see the data set WBQ and in their database table, the one ending in run ID WBQ. All right, so we have our two scenarios in make connected with Apify and Airtable. So we're in good shape to move on with this automation. So now the fun part. Now that we have found a way to keep an eye on the actor on Apify, we know when our data has been scraped. We're now going to start grabbing that data and getting it ready for populating into our database in Airtable. So here's the nice fun part. Follow along with me, and it's gonna be I'll try to take it step by step at a time. But I'll be grabbing data values that I've been testing around with, and it hasn't been easy. But hopefully I can make this as clear as possible by doing this step by step. First, we're going to do get data set items. Okay. And it's going to, as usual, it's going to ask for a connection type. We're going to do the demo 2 that we have here. Data set ID is going to be the one we grabbed from the first module here. So we're going to grab dataset ID, default dataset ID. Here it is, default dataset ID. Yep. Okay. And that's the one we want to grab. Okay. Now, data transformation. We don't want any data transformation at all. Format JSON. We wanted to come back with the way we address the payload. Limit 100, offset. Okay. I think these are all good to go. All right. Now, so that is saying, hey, grab the data from that run. And now we're going to update our Airtable. First, what we need to do is, in order to update our Airtable, we're going to find that record with the actual username. So let's see here. So demo 2, the base is going to be demo 2 as well. And then the table is going to be the users table. And then the output fields, we're going to select all. And then here we go, formula. So this is a formula for Airtable to recognize. Curly braces, username equals, and curly braces equals. You want a quote, and we're going to do the author meta name. And that's going to be our respective username. That's what the payload has come back with. Author. Okay, I have a feeling I know what's going on. It's because make needs to be updated here. So let's see if I can get the default dataset ID here. Default dataset ID. It's actually run this module with that. And because Airtable, make doesn't actually know what's in that return yet. So run this module only. Let's run that. Okay, there we go. So now it's actually gone to dataset items. And look, see, you can even tell just by glance, it's grabbed Pokemon TCG stuff, right? And TikTok stuff in here. It's grabbed 2 videos. That's because that's what we specified the script to do. There we go. So now let's go back to this here. Let's add the base demo 2. And then we're going to the users table and we're going to re-enter that formula. Sometimes that's the tricky thing. sometimes if you're trying to look for something and it's not there, it's because you actually have to run the previous module to make know what to actually expect. As you can see, this actually looks not completely different, but a lot more different. There's a lot more data here. Now that author meta is there. In fact, that username I'm going to grab is right there now. So let's just go ahead and do username, curly brackets, equals, and it is author meta name, which is author meta name right there. That's what we're going to grab. And Godsley is right there. All right. And quote limit, let's just do maximum number. Oh, yes. We only need one because we are grabbing, going to grab only one user. A video is associated only to one user here. So we just need one here. Might as well just save on a few operations here. Okay. Yeah, the next step now is to go ahead and grab the subtitle files. And this is going to be done with an iterator. And that's because a user might have multiple videos. And in our case, we're restricting ourselves to two videos at a time for this demo. So I'm going to add a module here. I'm going to do flow control iterator. You can always grab iterator here on this bottom shortcut, but the flow is so ingrained in my mind just to do it manually here. Now, the array is going to be, we are going to grab video meta subtitle links. So what we want to do is grab the subtitle. So you can just do a quick search here. Video meta subtitle links. Click. Okay. Now, the only tricky thing is we should double check to make sure that something exists first. So I'm going to add a router here first. All right. And a filter to call out if there's actually a video, and that's going to be determined by video meta. I got to type it in here. If there's an actual video that exists here, and basic operation, change it to exist, then go ahead and iterate through to the next step here. All right, so that's what I want to do. Now, we have the array ready and set up to go. Now we're going to go ahead and download the actual subtitle file. So that is done through an HTTP request, and that is through get a file. And now the file URL is going to be the download link from the iterator that we get from here. So hit, as you can see, the api.afi link here. Hit download link. Okay. And we're going to do one more step here. What I want to do is actually store this data as a variable here in make, because I'm going to actually reference it one more time. So this is a cool little trick I learned. We're going to set variable, and this way I can store this SRT file as SRT, and this data as, which I'm getting from here, get a file data. Now when I reference this SRT variable, it will know it's getting exactly that SRT, this data here. So let's actually test this real quick. Let's do a quick run. I'm going to hit run once. There should not be data in the payload. Okay, let's try that one more time. All right, so now let's do a quick test. Let's go back to our user Godsley here, TikTok channel, run now. Let's go to our automations and see that it's in progress. It sees that the record into review, it's kicking off the record, it's updated the record, and it's running the script. It's already run. Now, the make scenario has already run. The scraper, let's go to runs and amplify. It's going right now. Let's give it a moment. As you can see, it's costing me about 2 cents each time to run this thing. Not too bad. All right, scraper is done. Let's go back to our scenario here. It's Watch for that actor run. It's gotten this data set. It has grabbed 4 records. Yep, with that for that username. 4 records. And now for those 4 records, it is grabbing the download link for the subtitle files. Now, I think if I actually, let's give it a shot. If I actually go to this URL, what would it show up? Yep, there it is. This is the subtitle file that Appify has grabbed. As you can see, it's talking about Pokemon TCG. We're talking about Pikachu EX cards here, if you're familiar with the game. And now I have 4 downloads. It has downloaded these 4 files. File size 1919, file.vtt, has done it 4 times. Actually, one quick thing you should call out here, HTTP status code 200 means success, in case you're on the lookout for those kinds of things. And in tools, there we go, set 4 variables, SRT, 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 SRT. And as you open these up, here it is. Let's look for that Pikachu EX one again, just in case. This one is not talking about Pikachu. This one, here's the Pikachu one. First is Pikachu EX. There we go. All right, so we have our subtitle files. Isn't that pretty neat? We scraped TikTok successfully. Actually, what's really cool now is that we could just take this and throw it through ChatGPT now. So let's actually just go ahead and do that. All right, now that I have the SRT files, let's go ahead and reference the SRT files. So back to here I use tools where I set the variable. This time I'm going to get the variable and I'm going to get SRT. So it's going to grab those 4 SRT files. And now we're going to, for those 4 SRT files, we're going to actually update Airtable. So we're going to create a record. And now finally in Airtable, in the videos table, we're going to create brand new records with all the data from the video. So connection, demo02, base, demo02. All right, the tables, the video table, like we just called out. Video ID. Okay, so we want to get the video ID as referenced in this data set. So I'm going to close this one. I want to try to go to reference the earliest one as much as I can. So I want the ID of that video. Okay. The user, I want to add item, and under record ID 1, I want to get let's open up Airtable. I want the ID of the user because that's who we grabbed, the SG. All right, add to daily. We do not change anything there. The cover, so the Appify scraped cover. So what we're actually going to do is grab it, and this one is file URL. Let's see here. So it's actually not file. Okay, actually, let me explain this real quick. From here on out, we're going to actually start telling Airtable what to populate the database with. So based on what we get back from Appify, we're going to specify which data parameters we're going to update the columns in. This is where it gets a little tricky with which ones work and which ones don't. There was a lot of trial and error. Just try to follow along. I'll try to take this step by step and make this as clear as possible. The cover. So first we're going to store the cover of the video. We actually grabbed that from the data scrape. So it's going to actually be in a file called original cover URL. And that's the cover right there. Okay. File name you can leave blank. Media, that's the actual video. So we're going to open this up, item one, file URL. And we're going to name this media URL, and there it is. And make sure to grab this one here. Oops, I did it twice. File name you can leave alone. Okay. Caption is the caption in the video that you see in the bottom left corner. And so that is known as text. As you can see, tournament meta incoming. That's what this user decided to do. Video summary, I don't think there's anything there. The URL for the actual video itself is actually called web video URL. As you can see, it's a TikTok video here. Now, likes is actually called digs, which is interesting. So dig count 656 here. Let's just do it once. Number of views is actually called play count, which is interesting how these things change as developers name it one thing and it's shown to users as a different way. Saves is called collect count, which is, again, interesting. I'll stop being a broken record there. Video height is video metadata height, which is a little bit more obvious. So video meta height. Width is the width. So it's nice that makes it a little bit easier. Duration is duration, which is, okay, so what we want to do is make sure we grab the video meta one of this second module here, get dataset items, not the watch actor run. The duration is the actual run, the scraping run. So we want to get the duration here. Number of comments, which is just called comment count. Comment count 15, and I'm going to delete this little extra thing I did here. Okay, comment count. The SRT file, so this is a nice thing. We just go back to our variable SRT right here, SRT. Okay. And then video created time, which is created time ISO. So let's close this. Let's just do created time. Okay. Oops. 1 sec. It was definitely there. Oh, create time ISO. Okay. That's the one that was correct here. All right. And so that should give us a timestamp. Okay. So now we have all of our data items that are set up. Hit OK. I'm going to do a quick auto line for my perfectionism. Okay. Now, let's actually start testing this to make sure our Airtable database is set up. So I'm going to do a quick run. I'm going to do a run once. Let's just wait for new data. Okay. Let's go to data here. Let's go to run now. Automations. We'll see our run happen in just a moment. In progress. Here we go. Update record. So that check mark is gone and the webhook has now been requested. Okay, there, XXS. So then our make scenario, we should actually start seeing go blah, 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 blah in just a moment. There we go. Isn't that cool? All right. I always love watching that happen. So we already know up to here, we got the 4 videos. So let's just double check. Yep, we got a good SRT file here. Now we grab those same 4 SRTs files and here we go. Successful Airtable record creation in our output right here. So let's actually check it. All right. Moment of truth. So this is the users, right? Let's go to our videos table and there we go. 4 videos. Isn't that neat? It's always so crazy anytime I see this stuff. We have URLs here. We have captions here. In fact, let me just make these extra tall so we can see. Here's the cover photo for the videos. Pokemon galore here. I mean, I love this stuff. So, grew up on Pokemon. Captions, video summary, we lost it. Because we didn't get there. That's the magic that we're going to do in just a moment. So I'm getting ahead of myself. Here are the URLs. Let's do a copy cell URL. Let's go check it. Oops, sorry, that's a cell URL. Let's just click it. There we go. It takes us straight to TikTok. There's a video. We already watched that video. Let's do the third one. Here we go. Here's another TikTok. We're directly in TikTok now, and we invoked this right out of our Airtable database. We have all the stats we need. Of course, it's TikTok, so everything's vertical video, duration, comments, number of comments. And here we go. Here's the important thing. The SRT files, right? All in here. All four of them. All four of them are in here now, which is great. Okay. All right. And we have video created time. And then, of course, record ID. All right. So far, so good. All right. We should actually save this scenario. It's showing that it's not saved. Okay. Scenario saved. All right. Now that we know we can get all of our TikTok data into Airtable, let's actually start doing something really cool and summarizing it. We're going to now use actual AI to help us summarize this stuff and actually save time. So this is where I feel like we actually get some magic happening. The first thing we're going to do is go ahead and invoke ChatGPT, our good friend. You can, of course, use any GPT model you want. I like ChatGPT. Frankly, honestly, it's kind of because I haven't really used the other ones very heavily, just because I really enjoy using ChatGPT. You want to do a creative completion. Now, you do need to make sure that you're using the you're going to be using the API, not the actual UI where you're chatting with ChatGPT. So, you want to get that set up. All right. So, because you have to use the API for OpenAI, what you're going to do is go to platform.openai.com. What you're going to do is sign up for an account. You're going to have to pay for some credits. You can pay for I think I paid for like $20 worth. If you're worried about limits and usage, I mean, these things are like pennies. So yeah, I put in like $20 when I was testing this stuff out. Anytime I'm testing this, it's all less than a cent. For me, it's a fun experiment, a learning experiment. So it was, just paying this 1 penny was no big deal. For my clients, of course, the cost is relatively negligible for the benefits that they get out of it. So it's something to consider though, because it's actual money. But what you want to do is go to your API keys. You want to create a new secret key. Let's see. Let's go to let's just make a new one. Demo 2, just be consistent. Pokémon TCG dailies, and create secret key. Now it's created my key for me. Okay. Now I'm gonna add a new OpenAI connection. Let's call this demo 2. Pokémon TCG dailies, and the API key is there. And organization ID, I think I can just select. I can just save. I don't think. I think you can leave that blank. Yeah, it's authenticated just fine. Let me just double check. All right, should be there. Created, last used, never yet. So we'll give it a shot. Let's just actually. Okay, so you want to do a chat completion for the method model. I mean, for something like this, don't use like the 01 month. If you're watching this in mid-December, they just came out that the 01, I think it's 01 now, the full version is released. It's like $200. You don't need that. You could really, what we want to do is, I apologize, I should have said this first. What we want to do is take each SRT file and summarize it into 1 or 2 lines. And that way we can very quickly just skim the video without actually watching the video. Something like that, GPT-4o mini is perfectly fine, right? So here we go. I'm not even gonna really make my prompt that crazy effective here. So role, I'm just going to say user role. I'm not even going to do system and assistants. Like I'm not even going to say you are a, like an SEO optimized content creator. No. We're not going to do that. All we want is summarize the following subtitle text into 2 sentences from the following SRT file so that it recognizes that, yeah, this format is an SRT file. Let's do that. Now, I do want to grab it from the record we just created. So let's grab this SRT image input type. We don't need max completion tokens. I say just put 0 just to be careful here. And then let's go ahead and run this. I want to run this module only, and I'm going to just grab this SRT file that came out of here just to run it. Just to make sure my API connection is working. Okay. Here's the SRT file. Hit OK. It's going to run, and there we go. Here's the result. This video outlines the top 4 decks of achieving a 5-win streak in a genetic Apex Emblem event, starting with Pikachu EX. The Emblem event, which just started today, actually, and lucky me, I actually completed the entire thing on day 1. That's how I use my time today instead of working on my business here. But yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. Like, yeah, now I have a 2-line summary of a video from an influencer who is pumping out this content, news, and giving out tips and tricks. So I didn't know you could Pikachu EX would be a good one. Arcanine, Moltres, Charizard. I know I'm getting into the minutia Pokemon TCG. I didn't realize I could use those. I actually used a completely different deck that I built for myself, and I got through okay. But now for future events, I know I could look into this stuff. It's great. So, and again, this summary is really good. And I just needed to use the, which model did I use again? It was the mini, which one did I use? Let's open it back up. The low weight one. Oh, GPT-4o mini. And that's probably why my usage is actually kind of on the lower end. Like, I've only used, I barely use anything. So, yeah, that's all we need. Now, okay. So of course we're not going to log into Make to get this stuff, right? So let's go ahead and update our Airtable. Simple enough, especially after everything else we've done. So let's add one more module here, Airtable. Let's update the record that we're already working with. All right. So demo 2 is our connection. The base is going to be demo Pokémon TCG Pocket. The table is going to be the video table. The ID is the record that we are creating right here in this module. So module number 10, just be careful about that. Don't go overriding a different record. Module number 10. And we're going to look for the record ID. So the record ID we want to fill here is the ID of the record from the module where we created the record. Okay. So that's the record ID. You can see record ID is synonymous here. You can use either or. I just use ID to be consistent. All right. Leave everything else the same because we already populated all that data. And now video summary is where we're going to grab what we just pulled back from ChatGPT. So video summary. Let's see. It's under choices, message. Here we go. Content. Message content. There we go. All right. And that should be it. We just hit OK. Okay, let's test the whole run through all the way through one more time. So let's go ahead and delete these 4 videos just for the sake of testing. Bye-bye. Okay, go to all users. Let's go ahead and run now. Let's go to our automations, check the run history, let that run. Oh, we also need to make sure this hits run once. Wait for new data. Okay, the webhook hasn't run yet. Oh, has it? Ran successfully. Okay, so the crawler's running now, so I think we made it in time. Let's give it a shot. There it goes. Blah, 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 blah. All right, and you can see ChatGPT working through. It's working on that third record, working on the fourth, and we can see here, video summary, a new deck is dominating. Operation 2, Bundle 2, the top 4 decks, we saw this one. Operation 3, the player discusses a Pokemon card battle strategy highlighting their deck consisting of powerful Pokemon. This is a little generic. Oh, effectively eliminating Mewtwo and without Gardevoir's assistance. Okay, interesting. Definitely want to check that out. And then here's something with Greninja and Wigglytuff. Nice. Let's see if it's in the Airtable. There we go. Let's go to, this is our users table. Let's go to our videos. And here it is, video summary. So here it all is. It's an Airtable. So we can just very quickly, instead of watching all these videos, very quickly flip through blah, 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 and watch it. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, instead of going to TikTok, there's also a copy of the video downloaded itself in Airtable. You can, if you're someone that repurposes content or do reaction videos, you'd always just use this, throw it into Frame.io, give it to a video editor immediately. It's all available right here in Airtable. Right, you have the URL, but now you can skip the step. It's an attachment right here. All right, here. Anyway, I took away from the magic, which is here's a video summary. So that is how we can automatically grab a quick video summary from these SRT files. So there's one more thing I want to do here before I leave the Airtable. I just want to complete the data here, right? All this user data for Godsley that we downloaded, we already got the data. It might be good to be able to have this data to reference in the future. So what we're going to do is actually make one more thing here. And I'm going to add one more route to my router. And what we want to do is store the data we got back from the run for that user. And we wanted to do this once, so it's not a big deal. But before I even, let's make sure our router is working correctly. So here the condition needs to be video meta to make sure if a video exists, make sure to go through the step. Oops, do it once and change your operator to basic operator exist. Okay. And now the filter here is going to be, don't worry. If there is no videos, what I want to do is set up a filter to just say, okay, if this is the last bundle, the last time we're running through and updating the records, go ahead and update the user information with the latest information that you have. So what I want to do is actually take bundle order position. If this is the last video, and if it's equal to 1, if it's the first bundle, go ahead and run through this flow here. And that is the next thing we're going to do is, now that we've passed through that filter, we're going to update a record. And that data is going to be the user record that we first triggered the automation with. So connection demo 02, base 02, users table, right? Not videos this time. The record ID, we're going to grab the one from, let's see, Airtable search records. Yes, the one from when we grabbed record here. So record table I3. Oh, it's right there. The ID, the username, we're not going to overwrite the username. We're not going to overwrite the channel. But if we don't, we're going to go ahead and get the latest things like profile picture. So file URL. So from this get data set items from this run. All right. So again, this is where I had to do a little trial and error to find the right things. But author meta, the avatar is the person's profile picture. Don't need to worry about file name. Nickname is nickname, which is nice. Here's Godsley's nickname as our example. Signature is signature. which is thankfully obvious. And as you can see, it's right there. Signature BioLink is called BioLink, which is good. BioLink. Looks like this person has an actual website. Followers. Oops. Which is fans, actually. That threw me off. 90,000 in this case. Following is actual following. Only 20. Friends is friends. Okay. Total likes is hearts, which was very interesting to see too. Okay. Now let's do a quick auto align and let's save. All right. And let's test this run one more time. Let's wait for new data. Go ahead, run now. Go to our automations. What can we do with this? I want to now turn this data into a useful daily summary and put it all in one document so I can just sip my morning coffee and read through it and skim through it and see what I want. So here's the next part we're going to do. We're going to actually take this data here. Say we're on the Pokémon Pocket TCG team and we're like, oh, let's see. I wonder how people are liking our new event that we put up this week, right? Like this week is the Genetic Apex competition. So maybe we can ask ChatGPT to summarize what our influencers are saying about that. So let's actually create a daily summary using that information in mind. So first thing we're going to do is go back to make, and we're going to create a new scenario. And this scenario we're going to call, I like to say, let's see, Airtable to Google Drive. Because, and that's what we're gonna upload, take table data out of Airtable, put it in Google Drive, and this is gonna be generate summary. Okay, and so that's our thing. Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is actually create a new Google document first. That's there's a few ways to do this. What I like to do is go ahead, create a document first, and then populate that document. Seems to be the more simplest way for me to do this. So let's just go to Google Docs and create document. Now I'm going to change this trigger to be on demand for now instead of on a timer, just for testing purposes. Okay. Now, would you like to activate? Not yet, just because we're still working on this. All right. So, of course, this module's not set up. Let me open it. There we go. All right. I'm going to add a new connection, and this is going to be for demo 2 Pokemon TCG dailies. Okay. Sign in with Google, and let me log into my other account here with my Google Drive. Hit yes. Okay. Waiting for authentication, and there we go. New connection made. Now, the name of the file. So I like to make sure that the name of the file follows a specific format, just so I know which ones are which. Some of the descriptions in Google Drive, sometimes they don't show up all the time, right? Like right here, last modified. Like I got to go into my Google Drive settings to change all this. So I like to put the date and title in the date in the actual title of the file. So here's how we're going to do that. Make makes this very easy. I'm going to go to the calendar here. I'm going to say format date, so I can have some control over how this date looks. For this first field, what's the actual date? I'm going to say now. And then for the format, I'm going to say for some reason, even though I've grown up here in the United States, I like the year first, then month, then days. So you do that by year, MMDD. I know it's a little odd for someone growing up in the United States. I do this like how they do it in Asia and Europe, I think. Then I like to do, what's this thing called? Daily summary. And you know what? Just for the sake of testing, because we might make a few of these, we can do hour, and minute too. Lowercase h's and lowercase m's. Let me just double check. As you can see right there. And in the example, they do show a a colon there. So let's do that as well. All right. So every file is going to be named timestamp dash daily summary and content. Now for content, we are going to populate it in a second here. So it doesn't really need to have anything now. Let's just call it daily summary for now. And let's copy the same. Actually, let's just copy the same. Oops. Let's just copy the same name for it. Why is it not copying? There we go. Okay. And so this is going to essentially be a title. And in fact, because this supports HTML tags, let's do that. Let's do an H1 header. And let's add a line break. Let's see. There we go. So if we do a new line here, we should have a heading 1. I think heading Google Docs would probably automatically put a new line, but let's just put a new line just in case. Now choose a drive, my drive. I don't think I need, my drive. And then new document location. I'm going to choose a folder here. Just keep everything there. So here in Google Drive, we're going to make a new folder. Let's call this Demo 2, Pokémon TCG Dailies. Here's a new folder. And this is the folder ID. But we might not actually need that. I think Google Drive will actually allow us to have it. So let's see. Hit map, just give it a quick refresh. Studio Spark is the folder location, demos, and there we go, Demo 2. That's the folder we want. Let's just double check advanced options. Insert header, insert footer. No, we should be good there. All right. So let's just see, might as well just make sure this connection works. Go ahead and go ahead and run the module. Looks like everything went okay. And let's go back to the folder. And there we go. Daily summary with the timestamp, date, time, daily summary. And if we open this file up, there we go. Heading 1, daily summary. Now that we have our document ready, we need to grab the data from Airtable for the actual video files, right? So next thing we're going to do is add a new module, and we're going to grab those records with a search records module. Okay. Connection is already set to demo 02, so we're good there. Base, our demo 2. All right. Table is going to be our videos table, of course. And there we go. We're going to output fields. We're going to select all for now just to make sure everything is there in our next step. And I want to very specifically grab videos that I've selected here. Now, you can always remove this later. We're just kind of doing it so we don't accidentally grab everything and waste all our operations. But you see this column that we made before, add to daily. So we're going to say anytime this is checked, go ahead and grab those. So in order to do that, we're doing something we've done earlier. We're going to add this condition, add to daily, right, with curly braces. That this tells Airtable this is the column we want to reference, and we're going to say 1 for 1 signifies that that the checkbox is enabled. All right, and let's just say limit 10 just for testing purposes again. All right. Now let's go ahead, and I believe all the connections are already there. So let's see if this record will run. I don't think I have to set up any other webhooks for this one. So let's see, these 2 videos with calling out the muted deck and the Pikachu EX stuff. So let's go ahead and run this scenario. And there we go. Here's the one with the Mewtwo deck, and here's the one with the Pikachu deck. All right, so we're able to grab our records again. All right, at this point now, we can go ahead and start populating the data. So a quick save. I'm going to do a, try using these text tools. So there's a text aggregator. I've actually not used this very often, but let's try it. So what I want to do is grab the columns, these columns from Airtable, put it into one text document, and then add it into, or one set of text, and then add it into my Google Doc. So I'm going to do a text aggregator here. Now, what it's asking for is what text do I want to enter? Items I want to grab. I want to grab video, the user ID. I want to add the caption, video summary. Maybe the likes and views are going to give me some interesting insights. The number of saves, number of comments, and then I do want the video created time just to make sure I can double check how relevant this video is, and then the actual subtitle file itself. So now all the data is collected here and put into one string of text, but let's go ahead and format it too so it's not all one little thing, especially when we have all these IDs in here. So let's close it. Oops. So let's go ahead here and let's just go ahead and add some text here. Video ID, user ID, oopsie, user ID. Let's go to caption, video summary. Let's do likes, and this can all be, let's see, views, saves, comments, video created time, and then the actual subtitle files, the actual subtitle. Let's just call it subtitles. All right, now we can probably format it even further. Let's see, video ID, let's just add a little line there. I like doing it that way. User ID can all be in one line. Okay, caption, let's add a line break there. So go back to this A format, new line, caption. Let's have caption be all on its own line. Video summary on its own line. I like that. Then likes, views, and saves can all be on the same line. Number of comments too. And I like having a few spaces in here too. Yeah, new line. Sure, for video created time, new line. Let's just have a new line right there, just in case. All right. So you're going to get a little error saying, Make doesn't like having these tools as the last thing, as the last module, but that's okay. Okay, actually, let's go ahead and hit run once, run anyway, so that we can test this text aggregator. And there we go. There we go. It has two bundles, and here's the text. So there it goes, video ID, user ID. Now everything's a little bit, I can't actually change it. Yeah, so here we go. If we actually open up bundle one, here's the text, here's the caption. Oh, sorry. Here's the video ID, user ID, the caption, video summary, likes, views, exactly how we wanted to format it, and then the SRT file. All right, so this is, and it's done it, and I should show you, it's done it twice, right? For the two videos that we grabbed, and it consolidated everything into one string of text here. And that way now we can just use one Google, we can make one call to Google Docs to update the actual document itself. So let's go ahead and do that next. So Google Docs, let's go ahead and insert. And I think inserting a paragraph is just fine. connection. We're going to do that demo too. We do have to update because the previous authorization was just for reading. So we need to update it to be a write. When we select a document, we're actually going to select the document by mapping. And the document we're actually going to grab is this document that we created here in module 1. So grab that document ID and insert a paragraph. We're just going to append to the body of the document. We're not going to do anything more fancy here. And then the text that we're appending is just this text that we've just aggregated here in this module 3 here. Okay, hit OK. Okay, if we actually go ahead and just run this, it's going to ask for the document ID, which we created here. So let's go ahead and grab the document ID. Okay, document ID. And then the text is the text that we created here. And I believe that is everything. Hit OK. And it's run, and let's go to the document. It should be the second one that we created here. And there we go. And yep, all the text is there, but we got a nice little bug here where everything is header 1. So let's see here. What can we do to fix that? I'm going to force it with, give me a new line, and then I'm going to force it with a new paragraph. See what happens. It worked. It worked, but only because I did it in this hacky way. All right, so here's what we did to solve that heading issue. I ended the heading tag, which for some reason isn't being read here. And I just did this wonky, hacky HTML thing. I just forced a new paragraph, which should use the normal formatting. And it seems to have worked. So let me run it one more time just to show you. Okay, we're going to run this one more time. And there we go. We go back to our item. This is our 7th file. And here we go. Here's the title of the document, and all of our text is now in normal. The next thing we're going to do is actually get the actual summary, right? What I like to do here is have the details in the document so I can reference it. But now I would like to add the actual summary. So we're going to go back to make. And now that this data is here, I'm going to refer back to ChatGPT. Let's go do create a completion. And the connection is already there, so we don't have to select it, but go ahead, select the right connection, create a chat completion method, model. I'm going to go with the 4.0 mini again, just because it's lightweight. It'll work super fast. Now, the role and stuff, we don't have to get too fancy. Just use user. And then the text content, I'm going to be a little bit more specific here, but nothing too crazy again. Here, we're not doing any kind of crazy prompt engineering here. Let's make this a little bit more relevant to something more useful for maybe a marketing team, a publishing team, maybe an events team. Let's get an understanding of how people feel about, say, the event, right? That that's going on right now. So let's tell ChatGPT to help us out here. So I'm going to say, here is a set of transcripts from SRT files, and I'm going to just put a placeholder there. I'm going to tell it, just to give it a little bit more guidance, it includes X number of transcripts, just so it has some guidance to delineate which transcripts. Each transcript does include a heading with metadata, including a caption. From this content, please create a daily digest of the following topics. 1. How do people feel about the current events that are happening in the game? 2, how do people feel about the game overall? Now let's do provide a quick summary of the news that is important to discuss. And 4, let's do the tactics because it's fun. What are the best, newest tactics to use when battling? Okay. For each topic, create a heading and create a heading and separate out the details based on the topic. I think that's enough direction there for that part. Here's something that I also discovered. Sometimes in a TikTok video, right? The video shows a lot of stuff, but there's not a lot of actual narration happening in the video. An example of that is, let's see, I think one of these actually was like that. Like this video here, I bet you it's just this gameplay.
Pocket tournaments, check it out.
Yeah. So this player is just playing the game. And so, I mean, you get the information by watching the video, but that's not helpful for ChatGPT because we're feeding it the SRT file, right? So I realized that sometimes ChatGPT would spit out something that wasn't very relevant. So instead, what I'm going to tell it to do is I wrote this little bit extra prompt in here for my last demo. When you are creating the detailed steps, if there is ambiguity, augment the details sections with direct quotes from the transcripts. Note which transcripts the quote came from and the relative timestamp. This was important too, do not omit any of your details and infer what you can. Okay, so the reason for this is because we're feeding it all the SRT information. It does have available the timestamps and the quotes. So if ChatGPT is like, I don't really know what's going on, it's going to say, okay, here's at least where in the video you can find it. So that's why I have this paragraph in here in the prompt. Now, I think that's it for the prompt. Completion tokens, let's just make 0. So now that we have the prompt pretty much set up, let's go ahead and feed the SRT files. And that's going to come from the text. And I think ChatGPT will be smart enough to identify the number of transcripts. So let's go ahead and remove that part from it. Let's hit OK. And let's go ahead and hit this module. It's going to ask, what's the text? It's going to ask for that. And do we have any more? Well, it doesn't have it anymore. So let's go ahead and run it. Save. Let's go ahead and run. Let it go all the way through and see what comes out on the other end. All right, and it's come back. Let's just make sure it didn't come back with some sort of error. Messages. This is what we inputted. All right, here's the transcripts. Okay, and then the result. Here we go. As you can see, Daily Digest, current sentiments about the events in the game. Players are showing a mix of excitement and anxiety. Ooh, there's a sense of thrill, especially with the introduction of dominating decks that have raised the stakes in competitions. That's very interesting. A player expressed a blend of trepidation and enthusiasm about facing off against the perfect Mewtwo deck and noted the intensity of their matches. I will be very happy if I go toe-to-toe and beat a perfect Mewtwo deck. Oh, and there we go. Transcript 1, timestamp 36 seconds. And we can actually go to that transcript. Let's see. This is the video, 36 seconds. Let's go 36 seconds. 36 seconds.
This game's gonna come down to a coin flip. I'm not gonna lie, we'll be very happy if I go toe to toe and beat a perfect Mewtwo deck. Like, this is the perfect.
All right, there he goes. He actually said that. That's great. Yeah, that's awesome. All right, and now I have this thing I can just reference whenever I need to. I don't have to watch every single video, right? It just saves me so much time. So let's make this actually useful, right? Because if I'm going to hand this to someone, I'm not going to tell them to log into Make, right? Let's put this back into the Google Doc. So let's do our last step here, and that actually completes our automation, I would say. Let's go back to Google Docs. Let's insert this into, I just insert paragraph into the document. Connection, our demo 2, select the document by mapping, which will be our same document from, let's grab it from module 1 just to be safe. Document ID by appending to the bottom. So insert a paragraph by appending to the body of the document. Let's just go with that. And the text that we're appending is going to be what we just got back. So it should be under choices, message, and content. And it will add the stuff to the very bottom of the document. So let's go ahead and run this module. Document ID, let's go ahead and get it from the first one. Document ID, and then let's see here. That might be a little much. I think we should just run the whole thing because it's going to take some time to fill out the whole thing. So let's just go ahead and run it. Now let's go to our document, our latest document. Right here, we have our daily summary. And if we scroll all the way to the bottom, here we go, daily digest. Pokémon Pocket, current events, and this is everything we read. I mean, GPT probably rewrote it a little bit differently, but it's there. General feelings about the game. Now, we only fed it 2 videos, so it's not like this stuff is, very, very good summary. So actually, now that our automation is done, I would say it's done end to end. Let's go ahead and feed it a bunch of videos. Let's go ahead and do this end to end completely. All right, so let's close this out. I'm going to delete all this data. Move to trash. I'm going to save one more time. I'm going to do this on demand, but for the most part, it should be ready to go. Let's go and turn on my other automations. So if you remember, we have a bunch of automations here. So first we start the run, then we scrape the data, and then we generate the summary. So 3 make scenarios here. We have our automations here. It's in Airtable. It's just a one single automation to go ahead and spin up that script, which pushes things over to Make. All right. And our data. All right. So actually, let me go ahead and explain this end to end. So what we did was we created a list of users that we want to scrape TikTok data from. Of those users, we'll scrape the latest video data based on some specified parameters. And the way we would do that is once we say, hey, pull data from this user, the Airtable automation will run this script and send that data over to this webhook, which is connected to Appify. Appify will go ahead and run the TikTok scraper and scrape the profile and say, hey, are there videos or are there not videos based on this date, and return that data back to Airtable. And once that data is done, we will now, once that return is done, we will then scrape the actual video data and then actually populate our table with the actual video data using the scrape data scenario here. It will actually download the video. It will grab all the metadata off the video. And then we added this nice little summary that ChatGPT will do for us and update our record and provide that over here in our Airtable, which gives us a nice little look at high-level glance at what this video is about. And then once we're ready, we'll go ahead and select which videos we want, and then we will generate the summary of all those videos that we want added to the daily, and it will spit out a nice little summary of all the videos that we want to do. All right, so let's run this end to end, and let's actually add some other users here. Let me also clear the queue too. So turn this on, delete all data, delete it. Okay, there shouldn't be any more data in the queue. All users. Okay. All right, so let's try to do this end to end. Let's change the oldest post date to something a little bit. Yeah, let's go ahead and do oldest post date 1208. And let's go ahead and add some users. We'll do the Godsley one more time because he does put out a lot of video content usually. And I really like this person's content. Joesephyr. The only really manual part you need to do, and quite honestly, if you're a game publisher, you probably be giving out codes to very specific influencers, content creators. So this is a nice way to make sure you double check your work here. Let's go ahead and run now. Make sure the channel is on TikTok, and this run should go. All right, looks like we got a run ID and it's going. And let's go ahead and do another run with both Godsley and Josepher. So we got another run ID. So if we actually look at our runs, we got 2 runs going. There we go. All right, let's watch how things are working in Make. If I go to demo 2, these runs are running. So as you can see, these 2 have just started running. And if I go to scrape data, these looks like they're done. There we go. And now we check Airtable, and here we go. This record is being populated, and here are the videos that are being updated. All right, we got a few in here now. Awesome. Look at these. And of course, if we add more users and check, add more videos, there's a lot more to play with. But I think we have a good set here. So now let's go ahead and add all these to the daily. Let's go back to generate summary, and let's go ahead and run it. There goes ChatGPT. All right, and it's ready. So let's check our Google Drive. There's the file. And here we go. Today's daily summary. Here's all the transcripts that we have. It's 18 pages worth of transcripts, but let's just go down to the bottom here. And this is the stuff we want. All right, let's take a look. Daily Digest. Today. Current sentiments. The current events are bringing mixed sentiments. Ooh, interesting. Some players express excitement with the new decks and strategies. Others indicate frustration with certain game mechanics, particularly related to Misty shenanigans. Wow. Misty is a controversial card right now in the game's meta for sure. So that would be very useful information for me if I were one of the developers looking for some of the issues. Wow, ChatGPT actually did this really neat thing for me. Positive experiences. So I could have skipped the summary and just went there. Players highlight their success and enjoyment in achieving 5 consecutive wins. It was definitely a huge highlight for me when I did it. For instance, one player noted, I got my 5 consecutive wins with the deck I listed, and it provided me with the video and that must have been the hook for this particular TikTok video. Frustrations. Here's the Misty frustration. Dominance of cards like Misty, which I've saw myself personally, which players believe can disrupt otherwise enjoyable gameplay. Twice I got to 4 wins, and then twice I lost to Misty shenanigans on turn 1 getting heads. That is definitely a problem, and it's a big problem for game balance, for sure. Overall feelings about the game, expressing a love for the game despite its competitive pressures. All right, that's interesting. One speaker encourages others to not feel ashamed about their deck choices. That's nice. Very interesting. So this is our daily summary. So this is a lot to go off of. If you're a publisher again, this gives you, or a developer, this gives you some good pointers to what people are saying about your game. And if you're a player, this gives us a lot of good things to think about. So I have this running on demand, but if I go ahead and change this trigger to run on regular intervals, maybe I can set this to every day. Now I can literally just, sit back and get this every day, right? And sip on my morning coffee, and I just get this nice little Google Google document to read through every morning, and I don't have to do this over and over again. Now, of course, I probably want to prune the users that I have in this Airtable. As you can see here, I'll probably want to add more users as new influencers talk about the game. Maybe some people their stuff gets a little stale. Who knows? But this is where the manual step I want to update. But overall, the system is in place. It is pretty cheap. So let's talk about how much this cost. So I do have a Make account, a paid Make account, Teams version for a number of operations. It's probably best to go ahead and get the standard Make paid account if you're going to work with stuff like this. The Appify stuff, I am not even close. As you can see, 68 cents with all this testing I've been doing. And this also includes some other stuff I've been doing for other client projects anyway. I'm not even at $1 yet. I'm sure if I run this every single day, I'm going to start paying for it. But with all the runs that we did, all the testing that we did, all the screw ups that I did, barely anything, right? I was happy to go ahead and spend the credits to test to make sure this thing was working. And then let's check the OpenAI usage. So we did spin through and ask OpenAI to make a bunch of summaries over and over again. Okay, so how much did we use? It still looks like today alone and yesterday, because I recorded this video over 3 days, I haven't even used a penny yet with ChatGPT. And it's summarizing all this data for me, at least a long string of tests. And maybe it's not a massive amount of data, right? So very cheap to maintain this, right? And it saved me a lot of time instead of scrolling through TikTok, which of course has my own personal other feeds in it, right? Like I like to watch a lot of other kinds of videos too. It gives me directly what I need to get my work done if I were in that situation, right? And it's going to give me the accounts I need immediately. I don't have to hunt for the accounts. And I get the videos. And not only that, I don't have to watch every single video. Now, if I want to, I can always go back and watch these individual videos to get the full entire context, right? Right, the videos are actually saved in the actual Airtable. Of course, you have a direct link to TikTok. So you can even probably here, let's see, can you look at the comments? Yeah, you can go directly to the comments here of this video. And you can it's just a one-stop shop to get everything you need. It's a great way to start the morning and just check out what the internet is saying about your stuff. Yeah, with this daily summary, I can save a lot of time, drink my morning coffee, get this summary, stay ahead of my competition, and just learn new strategies and get some new insights about whatever I'm looking into. So no more scrolling through feeds, which is great. If you have any ideas or problems you want solved with AI or automation, go ahead. You can schedule a call with me. I'll go ahead and put a link to my calendar in the description below, and have a good one.